Well, it's a bit of a rainy day, as you can probably see. Not quite the beautiful weather we had yesterday, but another day to be productive, another day to get a lot done, and a big day, because today, well, maybe tomorrow, but this video, either way, the goal is to do the first start of the LS Miata with its new engine, with the dry sump, everything. So that is what is in the cards. First start. Before we do the first start though, we have one last project to do. Everything else is done, the wiring's done, the radiator, plumbing, I mean everything. Everything's hooked up. If I weren't doing the dry sump, if I were to just have stuck with a normal oil system, that we'd be ready to start it up, fluids and startup. So we do have the one last thing to do, which is the dry sump. So obviously the pump is on, the tanks and the lines are made here from the pan to the pump. This is gonna be our pressure that's gonna go through our engine. So it needs to come out of here, go through our oil cooler here, come out, go through our remote filter, wherever we mount that, somewhere in the engine bay, and then go up into the engine here. It'll then pump through the engine, it'll come back to the pan here, get sucked back out by these lines here into the pump, and then the pump will send it back to the tank, and then it'll feed from the tank back to the pump, and then repeat the process all over again. We're gonna be running PTFE line, which has like a burst strength of like 1500, or maybe more. It has like a working strength of 1500 PSI, I believe. And like burst is higher than that. Something along those lines. But we went with Deechworks on everything we could, which is everything up to dash 10, which is all our high pressure stuff. These are by far and away the nicest ones I have ever used. So unfortunately though, they don't make up to dash 12. So we have them for all the high pressure stuff, feed and return. We had to go elsewhere, and I bought nice fittings, like expensive fittings of name brand, and like they're just not as nice. I really wish I could have used Deechworks for the dash 12 stuff as well, but we got nice stuff. So hopefully it should be good to us. And obviously we've got our dash 10 Deechworks line and then dash 12 not Deechworks line. We are running all quality fittings, all PTFE stuff. So really like a line bursting in the car shouldn't be a concern. The only thing we're missing is our second 120. I ordered this one, the company said one in stock, so I couldn't order two. So I ordered the second one from another company, and they emailed me saying they didn't have it. But luckily my buddy Chris Jackson, who owns Jackson Performance, stocks a bunch of fittings. He's in Florida, so I hit him up. He had the fitting I needed in stock. He sent it out day before yesterday, so it should be in the mailbox. So we're gonna ride the pit bike down there and hope that it didn't get lost in transit, because that's the last thing we need. All right, well, the other 120 is not here. Hopefully it gets here today with the mail. But for now, I guess since we're gonna be waiting on that, we might as well start with the dash 10 stuff. I was kind of on the fence of which to start with, because like the dash 10 pressure side is probably gonna be much easier, but it's kind of like, I don't know, I was trying to plan it out to where it's gonna be like the least, not difficult, I don't know. It's like if you start with the super hard part and it sucks, you're gonna have no motivation to do the easy part. If you do the easy part first, then it's late when you get to the hard part and you lose motivation. Then it's hard, you gotta balance it out. But regardless, we're gonna start with the dash 10 stuff. So basically pump, oil cooler, figure out oil filter mounting into the engine. We need to pull the bumper off of it so we can get access to the coolers and where we're gonna be routing the lines, and then just start making lines and mapping everything out. The logical way routing wise is gonna be to run from here into the top, because if I ran it into the bottom, this 90, by the time the line looped or arched, it would be really low, or it would come really far out. So I'm gonna run it up there so it can kind of tuck tight around here. Yeah, so that's gonna be the first line we make. It'll be 2 90s and then whatever length it is. All right, well, we've got 1.5 lines made. We've got the line coming from the pump into the oil cooler, and then out of the oil cooler. That's our half line, because I haven't cut it yet. Because now we need to figure out where to put our oil filter relocation, which is over here. Grab this. My current plan, I haven't even like moved it in here to see if it's feasible. It's basically like right there. Oh, that's not gonna work. Maybe like that. Like that. Yeah, I don't know. I gotta figure out a good mounting place for this, and then I've ran the line up here so I can make sure that, you know, it's a comfortable reach for the line with the way I wanna route it. And if we're all good there, mount it, make that line, make the next line, and then we're done with the pressure side. Steady progress. Easy so far. All this is like, compared to trying to do those 2 lines going from the pump to the pan, like with all the stuff I had to work around with the subframe, this is much, much easier. I'm really hoping the Dash 12 stuff from the tank to the pump will also be easy, but I'm not gonna get my hopes up just yet. So I would say that literally the majority of today's work has been spent in deliberation, trying to decide what I'm gonna do and how I'm gonna do it. So newest struggle is this oil filter location. I think I've got it figured out, basically up just a little bit. I gotta make sure the hood's gonna clear. That, and then we've got a 45, which that hose should easily meet up to. And then a straight fitting, which the other hose will shoot straight down and then loop over that way. So I think this is gonna work. I really do think it's gonna work. But it's really not a bad spot, easy to get to, kinda looks cool. Okay, so 2 things I gotta tell you guys about this video. 1, all right, send it. Hell yeah. 1.5 though, on a 180.
The other one just jumped to 180 at like 3 clicks.
Yeah, still though. Dude, she's a ripper. Hell yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, 180's good. That's better than I ever had on my turbo car. Okay, so since the compression is good, just wanted to check to make sure, to see if this car was worth like doing all the stuff to, because
Selling the car to Taylor for $2 grand.
oh god. Yeah, we did buy it for 3. Now we bought it super cheap. I'm buying it super cheap because it's got a torsion, been selling the torsion and some other stuff. So yeah, I think a lot of people thought that we meant this was gonna be like a long-term project. Not gonna be a long-term project, like couple day project, cut it up, throw that cage in it, because we already have the cage. Ben Parts Out Miatas, for those of you who don't know, he's got the lift kit. There we go, freaking shredder.
We just
lift
need
kit.
14-inch ATV tires.
Yeah.
And figure out how to tune this AEM.
And some time.
Thing.
And some time. And then we've got a plethora of spare parts. So since the Gambler's so close and we really do want to do it, it makes the most sense. It's not the coolest choice, but it's the easiest choice. And my thoughts are, we do it, like I said, couple day project, not really gonna take away from anything else. And then we see how it is. And if it's super sick and just like needs stuff, like I could probably do long stroke BCs on it and like long travel arms and make it like jump stuff. Like, I don't know, the sky is the limit, but we're just gonna like slap it together, see how it works, and then go from there. But speaking of other projects that it is not going to hinder, great news for all of you people asking about the Subaru. Subaru wiring harness is done. iWire just finished it up. It took as long as it did because I was trying to track down a factory GC harness because doesn't matter. Harness is done. Bunch of my Mishimoto stuff showed up today. We got a couple more things coming from them. I've got my BCs for it. I really just need to figure out like wheels, and I need to finish ordering all the gaskets. So realistically, timing kind of works out perfect. We're finishing up with this thing, you know, by the end of the week, ideally. And that's around the time we should have all the parts to start back on the Subaru. So realistically, it kind of worked out pretty well since this thing blew up again. Like everything just kind of fell into place. So Subaru will be starting back in a week. This will be some sort of intermittent project in between time, waiting for parts or whatever, just slapping it together, and then Gambler. So anyway, that's just like,
More like cutting it apart.
well, yeah, not slapping it together, slapping it apart. Slaps roof, body panels fall off. Okay, back to this car and what we're doing with it. Well, I went ahead and mounted the filter relocation. Seemed like a solid spot, should clear the hood, easy access. I mean, it's not the most ideal thing, but it's not bad, keeps it away from heat, and was just pretty much the best solution I could come up with. Oh, we're gonna have to twist that fitting forward. So now this will probably be honestly the hardest line. This one wasn't bad because it just kind of loops down and like swerves back by the alternator into the cooler. So really not bad. That was pretty easy. This one though, we got to go off this port here and then down and then over and then up into the pan. So mainly just coming off of this, getting past the header area, curving down is going to be the hard part without getting close to the header. So yeah, try to figure it out. Either run a 45 or run this straight one. The straight one, I don't know, man. It's kind of tough. We'll see. We'll have to mess with it and see what we can figure out. All right, got the bottom line done. The final line, rather. So it is finished. Fitting's like a solid inch above the subframe, which is awesome. So no clearance issues. Routing really wasn't that bad. Ran it up there, goes by the plug wire. Since it does end up close to the exhaust, I had this heat wrap left over. So I had enough to do the whole line. And, you know, just should protect it from, you know, just in case. I mean, it's an NA car, so the worry of like heat soaking isn't really huge like it is with the turbo car. But I also went ahead and shortened this line because like you guys saw, it was sticking way out. So now it is, you know, relatively tight. I left a little slack because I want to P-clamp this up here just to make sure it never falls into the wheel well. But just in case, it's just not something you want to rub through while you're drifting. That'd be a bad call. That'd be a bad day. So yeah, all of the high pressure stuff is done. Pump into the cooler, out of the cooler, up into the filter housing, from the filter housing down, up into the engine. So everything is in, everything is done. All we have to do now is the hard part. To the tank and then back from the tank to the pump. And we also need to run our valve cover back to the tank. So we've got those 3 lines left to do. Fluid filling, start up. So I'll pick this back up in the morning, go get some supplies, and get back to it. All 3 of these lines need to run through the inside of the car. So if you guys have ever worked on a lift, you know that working inside the car is on a lift is not an easy task because you can't get the door open and you're working around arms. So luckily, since we've got everything else done and the car is like essentially complete, we just need to throw our wheels on and we can roll it off the lift instead of having to roll it on dollies for the first time in like 2 months, which is super exciting. Well, damn, this is the first time this car has been on the ground on its own wheels since we started doing the V2.0. First time it's been on the ground, actually on the ground with the kit and everything. So I don't know what it is about it, but seeing the engine bay when the car is on the ground as opposed to on the lift, it just looks 10 times cooler. But man, really happy with how the bay came out with the gold foil and the black and the gold coolers. I think even the remote oil filter looks good there. Super happy with this. Okay, enough staring at my car. Time to get to work. Back, definitely need to take the hard top off. God, look at how much pollen is on this thing. It's ridiculous. Go ahead and pull the hard top off and then start pulling the carpet and figuring out our routing path, how we're gonna do it. Fingers crossed that this goes smoothly and of all the processes, this one ends up being easy, because that would be nice, make for an easy day. Sometimes I kind of forget that this car is a convertible and the top comes off. I'm on the fence. I think I definitely like the look better with a hard top, but no top is pretty tight. Well, that was a bit tough, but I managed to get it on. One thing I will say is this cheaper line is just not anywhere near as nice as like the Deechworks line. This radius, which isn't that crazy, was already starting to kink it. I smoothed it out, but I mean, it wanted to kink super easily. It's like either the nylon's not strong enough or the braiding's not as good. I don't know. But like the Dash 10 stuff, I have crazy radiuses in it and it didn't even attempt to kink. So kind of sketchy, but we'll see how it goes. And those of you who are gonna ask why I didn't run it this way, because running 2 Dash 12 lines, it's gonna be like sitting on the header and I wanna keep it away from heat as much as possible. So I ran it this way, looped back here, and then it's gonna go down into the thing. So now, next step of the process is gonna be pulling the carpet up and run it through and try to run it down and get it back to the trunk. All right, well, good news and bad news. Good news is it really wasn't that hard to get the line back to the back and route it where I wanted. All of that went really easy. There's like a good route to get it back there. Bad news is As we got to the back, it started binding up and it got a little kinked, and like it is like effed. Like it's trash. Like I can't even get it back straight. Like this stuff is just pure junk. I mean, I should have known when I cut through it. Let's go look at like compared to the D-Torx line. When I cut through it, it cut through way quicker than the other stuff. Like it's a much thicker braid than that. Like that line is lighter than this line, and it's dash 12 versus dash 10. Yeah, you can see it. You can 100% see it.
Can we bend this just to see?
Yeah, bend it. Fuck it. Like, look at that. It just crumples, and then it's trash.
It might not be ripped inside.
Yeah, but it's still, like, caved in on itself. I feel like it's so weak, it'll just suction shut.
I don't.
You know, with the scavenge pump. Lesson learned is don't buy inexpensive wine. Yeah, I mean, it's not even like I went with super cheap wine. I just didn't go with super fancy wine. And it's a waste. It's trash. So, I mean, hopefully I can send it back and get a refund. The only thing that sucks is it's really hard to get those fittings apart once you put them on a line. The PTFE fittings, because they have like a ferrule and they like crimp on. Basically, like they crush the ferrule as they tighten down against the Teflon. So I'm just hoping that I can get that fitting off. If I can, you know, at least I saved 30 bucks there, but I'm gonna have to go spend like 300 bucks on line. So, hey, you know, it happens. At least I know now that was 20 feet. I guess we could run it back through and see how long it is. I can get a better idea of how long I need, but I could probably get away with 30 feet of it. So, I think. So anyway, like I've said before, I understand that this stuff happens. I expect it. The other thing is the last fitting that we need that Chris shipped out Monday from Florida, should be one day, isn't gonna be here till Saturday somehow. USPS probs. So I mean, it's not a huge deal. We couldn't have started it anyway today now that I found that out, but it just kind of sucks. Like it really delays everything, and I made sure to order all this stuff ahead of time so I wouldn't have this problem. And you know, it's definitely my fault for going cheaper on the line. You know, I went nice with the fittings. I tried to go cheaper on that line, and it bit me. And lesson learned. You know, I honestly was like, it's probably about the same as like, you know, whatever. It's mid-grade. It should be fine. Not fine. Not fine at all. Do not buy cheap AN wine. I know it's not AN wine. Whatever. Braided wine. Who cares? So yeah, I mean, at least I get you guys a Subaru update. We are going to be starting on that within about a week. Really just going to now depend on how long this takes. The timing seemed perfect. I was going to wrap this up by the end of, you know, the next day or so. But, you know.
You can roll her outside.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can. So now that it at least rolls, it's not like before where you can't really roll it into the grass on casters. So regardless, a lot of people are asking about the Subaru, so I'm glad that we're finally going to be getting that back on track. Seeing Adam get the new Evo made me like reinvigorated me to get that car done and drive it and stuff. And I will say, it's sitting there for so long, I almost kind of forgot about it. Like I knew it was there, and I knew I was waiting on the harness, and I was looking for the harness and stuff, but it was like, it's so far to that point where it's been sitting and it's so far taken apart. Like in my mind, I was thinking of other builds I wanted to do so I'd have a cool daily, and I'm like, wait, no, that's like the whole point of the Subaru is like a cool daily track car. Like you have it, you know, it's just funny how it works. But anyway, I'm gonna go inside, order a bunch of parts for everything, like reorder lines and stuff for this, some more Subaru stuff that we need, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, goodbye.